And I felt like what porn did for me was it started desensitizing me.
Right.
So the attraction to a woman was not enough.
For me, how it usually starts with porn is like you have a thought about it in the morning, like, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe you see something or someone or whatever.
Trigger.
And it, you know, and it's festering in the back of your mind. It's just,
Right.
it's just up until you can get the time alone.
Someone can say I'm using porn responsibly, just like you drink responsibly. I'm not.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make. We don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. African man, yeah. African man, ooh. The African male iris through the eye of an African male.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for another episode of the African Male Iris podcast. My name is Prayer Soul, and I'm here with the gents.
DJ Tino.
Eli.
And Rex.
Yeah, so we will not waste any time and go straight into it. So in our last episode, we were talking about vices, and we really went in and kind of just went all over the place, and we were really
I
discussing.
blame Rex, but it's fine. It's okay.
Someone had too much sorghum bread or something. I don't know what
Too
happened.
many bananas.
But what we want to do is, I think what we want to do is we just want to sort of finish that off and then get into something interesting. So on this episode, we're going to talk about how to get out of the vices. And what we're going to do is take a specific approach. So we're actually going to start off with porn and then sort of discuss that. Then we'll get into like a nice discussion.
So to clarify, we're not going to do porn. We're just starting with the topic of porn. Just to clarify, because there might be a listener like,
For those that don't know, Eli is a comedian. So.
Yes, we have to give the disclaimer.
This is PG-13.
Exactly. Right. So what? Because I feel like as men, we kind of normalize watching porn, and it's not that bad. Like there's never been a case in my personal life. I don't know about you, but no one's ever said to me, "Bro, porn's bad for you, bro. Don't do that."
Really?
No one's ever said.
No,
a lot of people
you
say
got
that
bad
to
friends,
me.
bro.
Change your circle, bro.
That is so funny, Rex.
No, for real. You gotta
is
change your
hilarious.
Well,
You need to look into your
look, nobody has to tell you that porn is bad for you. Like,
you just know, bro, that this is not what I should be doing right now with my life.
you know that feeling,
no,
you know that feeling, like, let's say you got a movie going on, like, you know that the build up to it. Like, for me, how it usually starts with porn is like you have a thought about it in the morning, like, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe you see something or someone or whatever.
Trigger.
And it, you know, and it's festering in the back of your mind. It's just,
Right.
it's just up until you can get the time alone and you look up that video and you spend like 30 minutes looking for the right video.
Only 30. Oh, okay. You really streamlined the process, bro. 30 minutes.
No, but what I noticed about porn, but personally, also like what Rex is saying, is it started off as you just needed to watch like 5 minutes because it was all mind blowing. But then you start playing around with the boundaries, and this is why I feel like people slip into an actual vice, and this is why you then have BDSM or people getting into like weird like
stuff.
like pedophilia and all of that.
It's
Yeah.
a really slippery slope.
Yeah.
And I was listening to something that was interesting, you know, that just came up for me now when you're talking. I think it was Ted Bundy. They were interviewing, and for people that don't know, Ted Bundy was like a prolific serial killer.
Right.
And he said most of the serial killers he met in jail had a very bad porn addiction, which is an interesting
Dynamic.
correlate, because I'm like, okay, what is that about? So when you talked about then it becoming pedophilia and all of that, I think there's a hook there where if it becomes an addiction, but when does porn become an addiction? Like every day or once a week?
I think
When does it become a vice? Because someone can say, someone can say, I'm using porn responsibly, just like you drink responsibly. I'm not.
Only when
not,
necessary.
Time,
when,
man. It's been 2 weeks,
it's,
man. I need to make sure that the pipes are working. Let me just check. You know what I'm
Or
saying?
my wife and I had a fight.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to go and cheat. I think the responsible thing to do is watch porn and engage. Because
No, it's a very interesting question.
so when does it become a vice? When does it become an addiction?
I think
When you can't live without it.
I think when you need it.
Yeah.
Okay, but
feel
but
like
what
you
does that
need
mean
it.
though?
So if you wake up,
It's not-
it's
you
the
can't
first
put-
thing on your mind.
Or you can't put
Before
a
you go to bed, it's the last thing you do. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's hectic.
or
it's
if you
more
can't
of
go,
a-
or if you just can't not go back to it. Like if you watch it and then you want to watch it again, and then you want to watch it
Even
again,
after you finish, you still want to.
even after you finish.
I said finish watching. What are you talking about? What is wrong with this guy? Who brought this guy here? Now he's look where his
course.
mind went.
Of course.
Man.
But it comes to those, the influence and environment. I remember my first encounter with porn. I was only 12.
That was late, bro.
It was late.
Yeah, that was like,
He's a really late bloomer. Wow.
I thought I was
12.
only at 10,
Yeah.
but like, you know.
Rex is our earliest at 10.
Okay, 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, 10 is 10 was early.
Like my next door neighbor, he was a friend. He was a friend, of course. We used to play together and stuff.
Right.
So one day he just comes. We're on school holidays. You know, you're alone with the
Are you
with the
alone?
nanny. Well, you know,
Right.
comes up with a videotape. He's like, no, there's something I want you to watch.
Oh.
What? It's a nice movie.
Oh,
What?
my
Right.
word.
Plays that
Yeah,
thing.
crazy.
And I think that's why I think also porn hits you worse if you're exposed to it at an early age.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is why it's. I don't know. I think I'm the oldest here actually, because we started with pictures. So we didn't just start with videotape. You're like really
Yeah,
advanced.
you were very advanced.
No, this guy.
By the time you got
In
to
fact,
videotape,
his story is not aligning.
No,
like
the
this guy,
magazines
I don't
making
trust
sense.
this
Like,
story.
no,
I remember
Aye.
the magazines.
Yeah,
Magazines
and they
like
become very
magazines.
sticky. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Fortunately, that wasn't my older brothers used to hide their magazines very well. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but you knew where to find them. So I think it's interesting again. It was a neighbor in my case because it was the gardener. So he that dude was crazy. He just had pictures of naked women in his cabin where he used to. So we'd go see. I'm like, okay, wow, yo, this is a lot. And he wasn't even inclusive because it was all white ladies. But that's a different story.
No, but that's actually how porn is introduced. It's always white first.
always,
And then you start thinking, wait, so if they're all white, do we have
What about
blacks?
black?
Then you start
okay.
finding blacks, and then you're like, oh, do we have
Yeah, he
blacks,
was not
like,
very
with
inclusive.
Chinese
Lati-
flavors
Latinos.
or Latinos.
And
or
but like you were
Mexicans.
saying, it gets weird. Then you go to midgets, and then it's like, hey, okay, it just really goes off like, whoop. And, wow. So it's crazy.
That's why it takes you so long to find a video.
Video 50 still looking. Yay, man. What is happening? That's why when you say 30 minutes, I'm like, icon. 30, 40.
But you know what?
I'm still going. Hey, it's still light here.
But what's interesting for me about porn is that every guy has a porn story, right? And I remember something that Rex said I think it was the last episode where you were talking about the dopamine effect,
Yeah, that loop.
where you watch the first time and then you're going to jerk off and then you're going to be like, wow, and then now you're like looking for the next high.
Yeah, it's like
So-
that dopamine
But then
loop,
the
yeah.
next high is you're watching the same thing, but it's not going to give you the same effect. So you look for something deeper.
Yeah.
And I feel like that. I feel like that speaks to a lot of things that are not so fashionable, like discipline. You know, where it's not every day where we're encouraging each other just to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Because being disciplined is boring.
It sucks.
You know, it's doing the same thing.
Sorry, wrong
consistently.
phrase.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Sure. It's boring. I meant to say it's boring. Sorry. My bad.
But you see, that's the thing. It does, you know, and it does. You know, it's the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
You know, but the benefits of that are not so fashionable. They're not trending. They're not hype.
I think
But I
another,
feel like
another thing is the shame. that comes with a lot of it.
100%. Yeah.
Because it's not easy to come out to people and be like, yo, look,
this is-
I'm struggling with this.
this.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It's
for
not.
example,
It's not
porn,
easy.
right? Like
Yeah.
if you're having breakfast, Kellogg's, and you're just watching,
No, there's
this
a
is-
problem. Because I would never not. You must eat first, then. I mean, you can't. How do you?
no, bro, but like there's people who get to that level.
that
Like,
level.
Absolutely.
I had a colleague.
That's
at
crazy.
work. We sat in these cubicles, and he would just always have his phone
Oh my
just
God,
running
that's sad.
porn
Man.
the
That's
whole day.
really that's crazy.
That was
That's crazy.
freaky for me. But like you can imagine, this dude couldn't function
No shame. That's how.
in a
that's,
corporate environment. Like
That's
and
crazy.
The worst, like the worst thing for me was every time he stood up to go to the bathroom.
You know the story.
I'm not saying that's what happened.
I don't know. That's why I
But of
said I don't
course-
know. It's Rex. Wow. Okay.
But I think it's the circle of friends is the environment. I think that's what helped me to get out of it.
Okay.
Like where we now actually formed a group. We were like, guys, we need to tackle this thing. We need to beat this.
So you were sharing. You need to beat this. What? What is wrong with this? What? Wow. This is not your.
So we'll do a count. You know, we're being up and honest, and I think ties back to what you were saying.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You need to invite us to one of your.
He's talking about an accountability WhatsApp group.
I'm sorry. I get confused on my words. So
You need
many
to invite
WhatsApp
us to
groups.
one of your stand-up.
I will. I shall. I invite y'all.
Yeah. So
Wait,
we'll-
so who started that group? And how like what
you know
were
what? It was two guys that I met at church,
Right.
and we got close to the point that we managed to share that
Okay. To
issue,
have the convo.
that conversation, and we say, guys, let's help each other.
Yeah.
You know, because of course, us as a Christian, you know that it's sin, it's sinful, it's habitual sin.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, how did you guys even do that? Because like the natural instinct is to hide it as much as
Yeah.
possible. You know?
But it's about the closest.
You
now,
are
the
touching on
trust,
such an
the-
important point around how did you get to a place where you were safe enough? Because as men, we're not very. It's seldom you find a man that you can be safe with. To really, even when you're like struggling. Generally, this is why you've got a lot of suicide amongst men because it's tough to then say, "Hey, I'm really struggling with this," or my wife is cheating. Whatever the case is, it's tough.
But I think what helped. I think what helped the two of us that we had. There was an older one on the group, right? He was probably like 7-8 years our senior, so he was more open and honest. So when he would say or speak about something, we would be like, "Oh man, us too." You know, we're also struggling with it.
Yeah.
So he made it a bit comfortable for us to share because he would start, and he was not. You know, he was not afraid to share it. 'Cause he was
really
like,
have the
no, you're my
convo."
younger brothers. I want to let you know, as much as you look up to me, I want to let you know these are my flaws. This is what I struggle with. So we'll do a count, like to say day 1, day 2, day 3.
And really,
If any of us 3 fall, we start again.
okay. Wow, that's dope.
We'll start the count. Because
We-
if one falls, that means it's all of us.
We're ish. That's a beautiful.
Yo,
That's a beautiful thing to have, man. And I don't know how many, because that takes a lot of emotional intelligence, maturity, and just really being able to to
But
be
yeah, to
that
be
open
accountable,
and
a lot of
accountable.
accountability.
And to be vulnerable about you failing at this thing.
Yo.
Like, I mean, now you got to report to a bunch of
And so
others.
when you fail, now you're failing. You're telling the Rex is gonna be like, so was it what kind of porn was it? Rex. That's not the point, man.
So my question, like, when one of you guys backslides in a manner of speaking, like, would you then take that opportunity? Like, since we're starting over,
I might as well.
Rex,
Can I just top
Rex, please.
Can I top up?
And even the word you're using, backslide. Rex, aye, man.
no, I'm just
Aye, man. Choose your words carefully, man. No, man.
Can I top up? Can I top up with one video? Then
Just
we can-
one. Then we're
start
all
again.
back together.
We're all
Let's start
back together,
again,
start
guys.
again.
Yeah.
No,
because-
but I like that kind of initiative because I feel like it's almost like you first of all, like what you said, Eli, there's a lot of emotional intelligence that's there where this guy knows that if I choose to be vulnerable, it's going to help these guys to be vulnerable. and if he's already like your senior, he already knows that I can see this play, you know, and I can see that
Where
this
this is
was
going.
me then.
Yeah.
So I'd rather let them know now that it's not even that easy. You know, this is what you need to. And I feel like what you said was very profound about men don't actually have a lot of. We don't create spaces that are
Yeah.
safe for our brothers.
No, we don't.
Yeah. So I think that's also like a thing where we tend to expect it elsewhere. So we sort of expect Rex to be the one to then start so that I can then, you know, like no one's afraid. No one's got the guts to.
And you were talking
To
about
say-
taking responsibility.
Yeah. Like
Before, take
Exactly.
responsibility. No one wants
there's
to.
no one who wants to be the first one. Everyone just wants to kind of wait and see, because then if this guy says, yeah, you know, now I'm watching porn where it's like animals and whatever. Then you're like, oh, okay, so mine is not so bad.
You're like,
Then you're like, I'm also like that.
me also, I'm only on midgets. It's fine. It's fine. It's all right.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you see, and I feel like the more we sort of think about being responsible, not just for you but also for your community, and always being thoughtful about these are my brothers, and part of my responsibility as a member of this community, whether it's just we're just friends and we just see each other once every 2 months, we need to be able to actually say, dude, are you really okay? Like, is everything okay? You know, like,
you
because what
good?
it does is it just keeps you accountable. And like the count, I like the count because what happens with the count is it just keeps you on your toes. And there's a strong sense of accountability. It's like having a gym bro, you know.
It's practical.
Where you know
yeah.
The guy's gonna be there the next
it's
day.
Monday, so it's International Chest Day.
It's points, and we,
Yeah,
you know,
and if I skip and if I skip and Rex is expecting me to be there, he's not gonna go as heavy.
Yeah.
And so he's losing gains because I'm not showing up.
I'm not showing up.
Yeah, so now we have to show
Yeah.
up, you know. And I feel like that's that's an important culture
It
to
is.
cultivate.
Really is.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I think the solution has to start with us as men, because this is really a hectic problem. But you know, I think the other thing that is also very pervasive is people are like, but it's not that bad. But how bad is porn? What does it actually do? So that people
To your
understand, because it's one thing to say, you know, it's morally wrong. Okay, cool, I get that. But I know there's physiological issues, mental issues, and it affects people differently.
I think the worst part about porn, like you were in the last episode, you were talking about like an overarching, you know, conspiracy theory type thing.
Yeah.
The thing about porn is that it's directly tied to the slave industry and human trafficking.
Yes.
So that's the biggest thing. Like, so the more you consume and the more deviant the type of porn you consume, the more you can be sure that it's attributed to something like that.
Absolutely. And
That's powerful.
And I feel like what it does is, I mean, in my case, it was something that I kind of started noticing because I think I always like to sort of sit with myself and kind of think about, you know, what's going on with me. And like, I really want to, I don't like to let stuff go without really knowing what's going on, you know? And I felt like what porn did for me was it started desensitizing me.
Right.
So the attraction to a woman was not enough. You know, like it had to be more. And I feel like, I mean, you could just Google the the downside of porn and just read the list. And I feel like everybody can just pick one or two or three. But people, it's just a thing that people are so willing to share. But I feel like the desensitizing is bad because what it does is it gets you to a place where you objectify women to the point that you can miss out on lifelong relationships that will actually build you and build your soul,
Destiny,
your family, your relationship with your partner, and parenting. Like you could meet somebody who has a way of connecting you in a way that's going to change your life for the next couple of generations.
Sure.
And you could completely miss that because they look like the chick that was acting like she was stuck in the sink. And so then the stepson
That's a
came.
very specific.
So now you drift into this fantasy. Rex, you've watched that.
Why am I catching strays?
Why?
Because you were just like,
No.
the
The one with the bananas. Yeah. that one.
Okay.
But you see, what that does is I feel like this is just one of the many where you miss out on the depth of meaningful relationships with other human beings because you've just looked at her and objectified her. You've just seen her as,
There's like something very profound that Dumi Shomasha said about porn. It's like, it's like nobody's off limits. You know, somebody's
crazy.
grandmother.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like
it's
you
crazy,
know,
It opens
bro.
up the I love that, and it does that in such an insidious way.
You love that.
No, I love what he's saying.
Okay, bro.
For a change. Is this you guys learning from me?
I was also
well done,
confused when
guys.
he's like, I love that.
No, I know what you're saying. Well done.
I love that it's off limits.
You guys are here. Your witch is like, shoot, we're ready for this guy.
With Eli, you have to. Okay, is this a joke? Is it serious?
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna say this is serious.
No, but you're right.
Face. That is so.
that's
I don't. That's really deep because. Okay, that's a wrong reference again, but I'm just saying it's so hard. It's so hard. Oh, again, I'm sorry. Wow.
But you're right.
I don't.
I get all of it. I get all of it, bro.
Damn, man.
I apologize, but the thing is, though, and also it particularly for younger men, I think it paints the wrong ideal of what a woman looks like.
Yeah.
Right.
Of what a relationship should be.
Relationship and even the physical.
I think the physical.
Because
Expectations,
not all women are 10s, right?
Like I used to
Most
think-
real women who are gonna spend the life with you are probably 5s and 4s, and now you're there like, hey, yay, you know. And I
Social
think
media
that's-
has also done that.
That's really
Yeah.
that's so bad, especially for young men, and
And this is why the BBL industry is popping.
it's popping.
And I feel like social media is just feeding into it because I feel
course.
like Instagram is a gateway to porn.
No,
like,
it is.
Yeah,
even
it's an
TikTok.
intro.
Like-
Even TikTok.
You click. I don't know. My TikTok is quite clean.
Oh, look at you! Oh, look at you! I thought we were being honest here. Oh my God! Look at you! The first thing before, if you get in the next,
But he's telling the truth.
Like,
Instagram,
No,
just when you
Instagram
think
is
you've cleaned
really-
out your
yeah, no,
homepage,
Instagram is really bad.
all of a sudden,
It's Instagram is
brings
really
back
bad.
those. Yeah, brings
Stuff that's just
coming from
nowhere.
It's like you can't totally. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
Like, that
haven't seen this
algorithm
one.
kees baiting you back into
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because that's where they want you to be, desensitized and focusing on the wrong thing and not getting on with your life and not fixing the relationships in your life and not growing in your life because they need to keep you there and focused on them so they can make the coin.
You know, and we had
Eli and the Queen.
and we had the therapist Sean.
Yeah.
I remember he mentioned that we've now had that issue as men of sexualizing women. You know, that affects directly feeds into the relationship aspect. You know,
Of course.
you know, someone is actually there for you, trying to help you progress, but you with your mind.
Your mind
and that's
is
what porn does to
corrupted,
us.
yes.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
even Casper. I remember a very meaningful. No, Casper on your vest.
You need to clarify because, like, wow.
You know, Casper. on
You
your
should
vest.
also check out the
Alright.
ghost stuff. Eh? It's really-
And
The friendly ghost.
I was like, woo, wrong movie. Yo, this is not the Casper I was looking for.
so Casper says in this interview, he speaks about how he was now an addict to sex, and he was like, I met someone who was very influential, and I almost lost a lot of opportunities because just meeting her, like I sexualized her to the point where I could not see anything beyond just the sex.
Yeah.
And yet,
Yeah.
when I kind of got over that, I realized how deep that relationship was in terms of just from a business level
Yeah.
and from a friendship level and just from him also kind of just, getting better as an individual.
Right.
And so that I think is also a big thing, because any addiction, I mean, we've just chosen porn, but I feel like any addiction works exactly the same way, where it's a small dopamine hit, and then it's you it spirals, and then you sort of just test the boundaries and you keep going until like what you're saying. This guy is now working and the phone is here, so and those people end up being socially awkward because now you don't even know how to relate to people. Like
You don't want to shake his hand, you know?
It's like, hey,
What's up, bro?
COVID, fam.
exactly, you know? And it's just it starts eroding at your
I like
humanity.
what you said that, because it ties back to even the smoking and what if someone just having every 5 minutes is going out to
Exactly.
take a smoke.
It's the same, and like what you're saying, and we must remember the devil came to kill, steal, and destroy. So if he can't kill, then he has to steal. If he can't steal, he destroys. So it's really, at the end of the day, it's just for you to just perish. That's what it's about. Yeah. Whatever addiction it is, whether it's alcohol, porn, whatever vice it is, it's just to make sure that at the end of it all, you're lying in a ditch somewhere with absolutely no options because of the choices that you've made. And that's what people really need to understand. It's bigger than just you or me. There's a sinister plot by the devil and the enemy who's really trying to make us all perish, particularly men, because we know we are the progenitors. But if he can get us, then it's good. That's it. It's good.
That's true.
Done.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Press all.
That's the most serious thing Eli has ever said.
We're digesting that.
Eli's like, what?
Waiting for the punchline.
Everyone's like, oh, wow.
This guy
That was
knows
actually
what? Wow, you guys are the,
Right.
You
No, no,
guys
no.
are
I
horrible.
think the taking on of responsibility is definitely, and just fostering like what you said, with the example of creating a community or creating a safe space as an individual, so that people feel safe to open up. I think
Really
is
the
key.
only way, man.
That's the
Yeah.
best.
There's some
That's the
battles
only
you
way.
can't fight on your own.
No,
Yeah.
not porn.
The motherland, the African man. Long as I'm alive, I'ma make a plan. Strongholds to break, got long walks to take, got no votes to make. We don't bet, we pray. Hey, African man, yeah. African man, yeah. African man, ooh. The African male iris through the eye of an African